So I've had these figures and I've done my review, and you can hear my thoughts in the other video for this. But I really think what we want to look at now is a quick comparison to see how these new figures differ from the original Kenner 80s Real Ghostbusters figs. Because there are some differences that really separate them, and I'll talk to you about what they are now. Hi everyone, Chris here. And as I said in the intro, today I just want to take a few minutes to do a little bit of a comparison with the old 80s Kenner Fright Features figures and the new ones that we've just received in the last month or so. So as you might have seen, if you're a subscriber, you'll have seen I did my full review of this set last week. And if you haven't seen it, why not just pause this, go back and check that video out first. But today, like I say, I just want to get stuck into comparing the old and the new figures and see what the differences are, because there are a few. And I just want to see what Hasbro Kenner have done with this re-release, because I think they are pretty faithful, and it's just a range that I love. So, you know, if I can get 10 more minutes talking about these Ghostbusters figures, it'll be 10 minutes that I thoroughly enjoy. Now, we'll be going through these figures one by one, but just on this initial comparison where you see them all in front of you, I think the colours that they've got are impressive. You know, I did say in the review that a few seem a little bit lighter, especially this grey colour. But in general, with them lined up like that, there aren't a lot of differences. From first glance, it's the shine on the old figures that you don't get on the new. Very much a more matte look, as I mentioned before. But other than that, I think the colour matching is pretty damn good. Really impressive. But I think we're going to start first with Ray. Let's have a look at Ray and see how he compares. So here we have the two Ray figures, and I think probably the figure that's held up best. And we've got them on the side view and the back view there, and you can just see that the mould that they've used for this new Ray figure is almost identical. It's almost identical, but there are a couple of noticeable differences. One of those differences, it's not incredibly easy to see, but it's actually on the goggles. So the goggles are ever so slightly different in their mould. A little bit. There's the one that sticks out the most is on the new figure, and you can see on the side-by-side comparison there that the goggles just stick out a little bit more. But on these views here, the colours are slightly different, but again, I'm going to put some of that down to aging as well, but you really can see the shine difference on these. But other than that, the mould is pretty accurate. I'm so happy with the new Ray. You know, like I say, this figure's held up pretty well over the years, so I don't think there's a great number of differences. You can see the ears sticking out a little bit more on the older one because that Fright feature hasn't held up quite as well. The colour, though, really good. And let's look at the Fright feature here on both. Yeah, almost the same on those. You know, it's held up so well because it's quite a simple one. You know, the ears don't pop out quite as much on the old one, and again, they don't go back in. But you know, I think the Ray has held up fairly well. Really impressive head sculpt on that one, and I do like that figure. I think I put it down to probably a little bit too much in my review, saying it was the most boring out of the figures. You know, he was one of, he's always been one of my favourite characters. So I do love Ray, and the colours, whilst they are a little bit lighter on the new Ray, I think it pops really well. This kind of teal colour really works super well against the brown, I think. So yeah, very happy with that Ray figure. We're going to look at next at Peter. And as I said in my last video, this is my favourite figure from the range. Always has been. I really, really love the look of this Peter, and you know, they've kept that with the new re-release. The only real difference, and I think this is more differences in this figure than in the Rays, definitely. The colour is slightly different, and you can see that with the lighter grey. And if you look here as well, the hair colour completely different as well. It's a much richer, sort of a lighter brown colour, whereas the older figure has gone for a slightly more muted brown colour on theirs. And also perhaps a little bit brighter on the yellow is actually a little bit brighter on the old figure there. But other than that, I mean, the colours are almost spot on. The dark grey on the more rubbery material on this Peter figure is almost identical on these. So let's take a look at the Fright feature. And this has held up incredibly well, the Fright feature and the old figure here, on mine anyway. It's an identical Fright feature. Identical green colour on the eyes. Really impressive. I mean, yeah, very, very happy with this one. I mean, I love this figure, and yeah, it doesn't disappoint. But yeah, almost identical mould. So I think there's a really, really faithful recreation of this original figure here. So Kenner have done a fantastic job with that. Moving next to Winston, and this is actually a figure that I'd said before has probably let me down a little bit. Whereas I love the costume, and I think that the recreation of this costume is immaculate. The paint on it is fantastic. The colours of the yellow and purple are almost spot on to the original. The Fright feature itself leaves a lot to be desired, and we'll go into a little bit more detail on that. And you can see, it's almost identical mold. It's fantastic. But the Fright feature itself is incredibly disappointing. As we saw on my review, it's just a really difficult Fright feature to get in. But what I will say, and something that I'm probably going to have to insert some photos in for as well, because it's difficult to see in movement, and somebody actually pointed it out to me in the comments on one of the videos, is that the neck on the new Winston figure is not coloured to his skin tone. It's just grey. So it's an unpainted neck piece that really looks horrible on it. And you might be able to just see inside his neck there, but you'll be able to see it better when we start doing the Fright feature. So we'll get on that. You can definitely see it on the gap there, that the neck is grey. And it's just really disappointing that they've chosen to do that. Now, I don't know if it's on all of the new Winston figures. As you can see there, the grey on the neck, really disappointing. I mean, my old figure has not held up. The Fright feature is completely ruined on my old Winston. As you can see, he's straining there. But you can see the same skin tone on the back of that there, but not on the new one. Now, I've seen online that this is quite a common issue. It's almost like a choice made by the manufacturer, which I find really bizarre. Actually, on the Hasbro Pulse website, because they're selling them via the Hasbro Pulse website in the UK, and I know they aren't in some countries, but the official photographs that are being used for this figure on their website show the neck unpainted, so it clearly must be a design decision. Really, really weird. It's clearly something that they've made a conscious decision on. I was in a local action figure shop yesterday, and there were 3 Winstons on the shelf there. All 3 of them exactly the same non-painted neck. Why would they do that? It's just such a lazy choice. It's really, really disappointing, actually. You combine that with the fact that the Fright feature doesn't work great. I mean, it never worked great, but it really annoys me that does. Winston's got done dirty again, and yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that his neck is unpainted. It's just really sloppy. Let me know in the comments if yours is the same, or if you've managed to get one with a painted neck. I've not seen any comments from people who say they have got a neck that's painted correctly, but it might just be a batch. Maybe it's ones made for the UK market. I don't know. Maybe you don't see it elsewhere. But all of the ones that I've managed to see on shelves in the shop all have exactly the same issue on their neck. So just be really interested to see. But regardless, disappointed with that one. Let's move lastly on to Egon, and I think the first noticeable difference between the old and the new is the tie. Slightly longer on the new figure, you might notice. So yeah, it's nice to have an Egon figure with a full tie. I have 2 of the older figures, and they both have broken ties, and you can see the hair has really taken a battering as well on this older figure. But the colours, other than that, the white is really crisp and clean and bright on this new figure, and you can see it's a little bit duller on the old one, but I would fully believe that is age as opposed to a colour difference. The white will have faded very easily under under constant lights. Other than that, the teal looks fairly similar to the differences we saw on the Ray, so slightly darker on there. So again, I would probably put that down to age. I think the red is fairly similar, a little bit richer and a little bit brighter on the newer figure. Maybe again an age thing. As I said before, the hair has taken a battering on this figure, but one thing that you'll notice, I think, is that the shine, or the sort of almost like a varnish or whatever, a protective shine on the original that's not on the new one, just makes the face look a little bit muted, almost a little bit faded. So I'm not a fan of that. Let's have a look at the Fright feature. Yeah, I mean, it works exactly the same on the new figure as the old. And to be fair, my old figure has held up pretty well with that Fright feature. But yeah, I love that. It's such a great feature on there. But I also love how when the mouth comes down, it almost looks like his chin vanishes. He starts to look like Beaker from the Muppets. Yeah, really pleased with the Egon figure. No complaints, really. Other than that, perhaps the more matte finish doesn't lend itself well to Egon's face. So there's the 4 figures compared to the original 1980s Kenner figures from Wave 3, Christmas 1987. And whilst my figures, have held up okay to varying degrees, I think you'll see that the moulds that have been used and recreated are pretty accurate. really faithful recreations, with the exception of Winston. Really, really annoys me, and I don't know why, but now that it's been shown to me, I can't unsee it. It's really annoying. Probably good that his Fright feature doesn't work very well, because it's not one that I'm going to continue to, to play with a great deal. But these are my favourite 4 figures from the original Real Ghostbusters toy range. So I'm so pleased that we have new versions of these. The Fright features themselves, as you've seen, they don't hold up great over time, so it's fantastic to have new ones in my collection that work perfectly, or at least other than Winston's, but his never worked perfectly. I've got an Egon with a tie, everything like that. I'm so pleased to see. And the artwork on the boxes were fantastic. Such a great, faithful recreation. So hats off to Hasbro and, Kenner, as they release these figures under, for putting out a set of figures that hits me in that nostalgic way where it just takes me back to my childhood opening these boxes on Christmas Day. So yeah, in summary, love them. I think they're really excellent figures, and you can see my review of the ghosts and the trappers that come with them in my original review, which I will put up a link to at the end. But if you've enjoyed this video, please drop a like on it. It would really help me out. And likewise, please subscribe to my channel for more of these news and reviews. We'll be doing more deep dives into the original Ghostbusters legacy, and the same with Ninja Turtles we're doing at the moment as well. But I've got lots of new figures as well coming out. Lots of new figures on pre-order and ready for reviews to drop. So, like I say, subscribe if you want to stay up to date with those. But regardless, if you're interested in the original review of these Fright Features figures, why not check out this video next? Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you all take care. Bye-bye now.